What up there in YouTube Guitar Land? Music Man RN coming at you. Part 1 of Carolina in My Mind. I had put part 1 out there before, but I got some complaints that the sound was kind of shitty, so I watched it and it was kind of bad. So I'm going to try to redo it for you. Hopefully this is a little bit better, but this is part 1 of the 4-part series, and I'm going to cover the intro and the first verse. We'll start off with the intro. You're going to be basically fingerpicking a kind of a 5-chord sequence, and those chords are a D, and we do have a capo on the 2nd fret, just so you know these are all relative to that capo. A D, G chord, then basically fretting a D chord, but adding that F sharp bass note, the 2nd fret, the low E. Just the top 2 parts of the D, the 2nd fret on the G string and the 3rd fret of the D string, and then adding that F sharp bass note. Then kind of a E minor 7 kind of chord, but you're also fretting the 3rd fret of the B and E string, and then kind of an A suspended kind of a chord, but also that open A bass note, but also fretting those same 2 notes, that 3rd fret of the B and E. So you get that. You can see kind of how that chord sequence goes. What you're going to basically seeing is the bass note is doing a nice little bass note melody line, which is very common in James Taylor songs, where you get that open D to that G to the F sharp to the open E to the open A, and that little bass note melody line. So I'll play through that intro really slow, and hopefully you'll be able to see the notes I'm plucking and the chord shapes. And we're going to be doing a lot of that in the sequence, where you're kind of plucking 2 strings at the same time. Like what we're doing here with that D chord. We're plucking the open D and that high E, and hammering on that high E to the 2nd fret. There's another pluck of 2 strings at the same time, that low E and that high E at the same time on the 3rd fret. Another pluck of 2 strings at the same time, that F sharp and the 2nd fret on the G string. Then a kind of in that E minor 7 kind of shape, where you're plucking the low E and the open low E and the high E 3rd fret still. And then kind of getting into that A kind of 7 position. So we'll kind of play through that again really slow. And again, I'll just play through it again slowly. And as you kind of play through it, you'll kind of see that you're essentially just kind of playing, that chord sequence, just kind of finger picking it and adding some little embellishments and whatnot to it. So let's just play it again from the very beginning here. So there's the intro. From there, we're going to go into the verse, and I'll play through the verse for you. It's a sequence. I'll just play through it, and I'll give you the chords. Something like that. Basically, you're playing, and that D chord is where you go, in my mind, gone. So you're starting off on that D, then you're going to a G, just kind of like in the intro, and then to that D/F sharp kind of chord, and then to an E minor 7, which is basically just your E minor, then adding that 7, that third fret of the D string, and then into an A, and then you get that kind of little, that nice little kind of James Taylor where he's always hammering on that B string, second fret of the A chord. You get a lot of that, a lot of James Taylor songs. But let's go through that real quick there. You start with the D, to the G, to the F sharp / D, to the E minor 7, to the A. And then you kind of play out the notes of the A there, and kind of finger pick a little bit there. And basically just kind of hammering on that and then releasing that B string, second fret of the A chord. So once you get through that nice little tasty A lick, then you're going to go to a G chord, back to the A, then an E minor 7, and then back to the A. So I kind of broken the verse down into kind of two parts here, and this is the second part of it, where you're kind of playing. I'm playing my G like this. You don't have to play it like that, but you're playing that G chord to the A, that E minor 7, back to the A, and doing a nice little tasty kind of bass note thing, where right before you, when you're playing that G chord, right before you go to that A chord, you can pluck that bass note, which is the A string, second fret, and I guess that's a B note, relative to the capo, of course. And then pluck that open A string as part of the A chord, so you kind of get that kind of effect. So you got the, and you can kind of do the same exact thing with the E minor chord. When you're on the E minor 7, you can pluck that second fret of the A string right before you go to the A chord, because then you're plucking that same string open, so you get that nice kind of effect. So you get that. And then what I'm doing with the A there, again, is kind of just hammering on that B string, second fret of the A chord. So if you put part 1 and part 2 together of that verse, I'll just play it again together. You get that D, G, and then F sharp kind of D to the E minor 7, to the A, to the G, to the A, E minor 7, back to the A, and then you would get to that. But if you want that part, you got to go to part 2. We're not going to get to that this time. I'm going to just kind of keep it at that first verse. And again, you have your, I'll play through it again kind of slowly. In my mind, don't care. D, G, F sharp D, E minor 7, to A, that little hammer on thingy, G, back to the A, and E minor 7, back to the A. And you could kind of be doing that bass note thingy with the... There's lots of little things that you can kind of do to spice it up, and I don't think you can go wrong as long as you're kind of playing those chord shapes. You'll be good to go. And this is just intended to be kind of a rough skeleton. The chord shapes and everything should be pretty accurate, and then you can kind of just add your own little licks to it. But feel free to have fun with it. James Taylor songs are a lot of fun finger picking, and just go for it. Add your own little licks and embellishments and have fun with it. But that's it for part one. Hopefully this is helpful. If you want the rest of the song, I got part 2, 3, and 4 out there, and hopefully it'll be helpful. This is a really fun James Taylor song, and if you can get all the way through it, it's definitely worth a while. It's a lot of fun. Music Man RN out.